Hello, my name is Jackie and I teach English with TakeLessons. In this lesson for beginners, you're going to learn all about basic English grammar. We'll discuss some of the most important grammar rules for using nouns, verbs, articles, and more. There will be a quiz at the end of this video to test your knowledge. So stay tuned and don't forget to click the link below to check out our free online English classes. Now we're going to talk about English grammar. First, let's talk about the parts of speech. There are 8 parts of speech: the noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. Nouns are people, places, and things. Common nouns are non-specific people, places, and things. Proper nouns are specific people, places, and things. Examples of proper nouns include people's names, cities, countries, the names of streets, the days of the week, and the months of the year. They are always spelled with a capital letter. Next, let's talk about pronouns. Pronouns replace nouns. There are 3 kinds of pronouns: personal pronouns, possessive pronouns, and demonstrative pronouns. Personal pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. Possessive pronouns are mine, yours, his, hers, or theirs. Demonstrative pronouns are pronouns such as these, those, this, and that. Okay, let's talk about verbs. Verbs describe an action such as a physical action or a mental action and a state of being. Verbs can be changed from the present tense to the past tense and the future tense. There are 2 types of verbs: regular verbs that follow a certain conjugation pattern and irregular verbs that do not have a specific conjugation pattern. Let's look at the regular verb walk. In the present tense, walk is simply W-A-L-K. I walk to school every day. Now let's talk about it in the simple past. All we have to do to regular verbs is add an ed at the end of the base form of the verb. For instance, we spell walked, W-A-L-K-E-D. I walked to school yesterday. Now let's talk about it in the future tense. There are 2 forms of the future tense. The future tense is created by using going to before the verb, or will and then the verb. Going to walk and will walk. I am going to walk to school tomorrow, and I will walk to school tomorrow. Irregular verbs do not follow a certain conjugation pattern. In fact, you have to memorize the different forms of irregular verbs. Let's look at run. I run. To talk about run in the simple past, we have to memorize that this form is ran. I ran. Let's look at the verb say. He says. But to talk about it in the simple past, we have to remember that it's said. He said. Now let's talk about adjectives and adverbs. Adjectives and adverbs are modifying. Adjectives modify nouns and pronouns. They're usually descriptive. For example, the yellow cat. Yellow is the adjective and it describes what kind of cat. Adverbs modify or describe verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Now let's talk about prepositions. Prepositions are common words that when used in a prepositional phrase, describe when and where. For example, I go to the farmer's market. I go to the farmer's market. The prepositional phrase is to the farmer's market. That explains where I go. Now, let's talk about using the prepositions for when. Let's use the same sentence as the previous example. I go to the farmer's market. I go to the farmer's market on Tuesday afternoons. The second prepositional phrase on Tuesday afternoon describes when I go to the farmer's market. Conjunctions join words, phrases, and clauses. Some conjunctions include and, or, but, and so. For example, we have two separate sentences. He rides his bike. He goes to the gym. We can combine those two sentences together by using any of those conjunctions that I previously mentioned. For example, I could say, he rides his bike and he goes to the gym. When I use and, I've combined both sentences and I'm talking about two actions that this person does. These are two separate phrases that we were able to combine together or conjoin with a conjunction. Now let's talk about interjections. They are 1, 2, or 3 words that you can put together that express emotion. For example, I could say, wow, to express surprise. I could say, oh no, to express disappointment. Or I could say, yay, to express happiness. The most basic English sentence structure contains a subject and a predicate. The subject includes a noun or a pronoun and any modifying words. The predicate includes the verb and any modifying words. Let's look at an example. He walks. He is the subject. Walks is the predicate. Let's add some words onto both the subject and the predicate. The little boy walks slowly to school. The little boy is the subject. Walks slowly to school is the predicate. Now let's talk about articles. There are 3 articles in English: the, a, and an. The is a definite article. It very specifically describes who you are talking about, that you have already previously mentioned in the statement. The girl, the boy, the dog. A and an are indefinite articles. They describe someone or something that you have not previously mentioned before. An is used before vowel sounds. An apple. A is used before consonant sounds. A cat. Now let's talk about some common mistakes that English learners make when it comes to grammar. For one, many English learners get confused with prepositions. This is because in their native language, the prepositions do not match with prepositions in English. I like to often tell my students that it's about 50-50 sometimes with their native language matching the prepositions with the English language. In this case, students simply have to memorize prepositions and how they're used in English. For example, I often hear, I think in you, instead of I think of you or I think about you. I also hear, I moved for a new house instead of I moved to a new house. People also add prepositions when there doesn't need to be a preposition included in their statement. For example, someone could say, I moved to the US since 3 years ago. The since does not need to be included in their statement. It simply is, I moved to the US 3 years ago. Another common mistake that English learners make is directly translating in their head what they want to say from their native language to the English language. A lot of the time, their translation will not work because the words or phrases that they use, or even the grammar that they use in their native language, doesn't match in English. The tip that I have is not to focus on directly translating something. It's to learn the English expressions or the English phrases, and especially the English grammar, separate from your native language. Another common mistake that English learners make is forgetting to say the correct plural form of nouns. For example, a lot of English learners tend to say persons instead of people. Persons are nice instead of people are nice. Or they forget to conjugate the verb correctly in its plural form. For example, someone might say, people is great instead of people are great. Another common mistake that English learners make is not understanding or getting confused about how to form the negative statement in English. A double negative makes a positive in English. It does not make a negative. For example, if you say, I don't understand nothing, that actually means I understand everything. Totally different than what the person means to say. The correct way to make this negative statement is I don't understand anything. Now let's take a quick true or false quiz in order to test your knowledge about English grammar. True or false? The word happily in this statement is an adjective. The boy happily drank his juice. False. Happily is an adverb. It modifies drinks. It explains or describes how the boy drank his juice. True or false? Ooh, gross is a conjunction. False. It's an interjection. True or false? The word those in this statement is a pronoun. Those books belong to her. True. Those is a demonstrative pronoun. True or false? This statement is correct. The childs like to play together. False. The plural of child is children. So the correct way to say this statement is the children like to play together. True or false? This statement is correct. We ran 5 miles yesterday. False. Run is an irregular verb. We ran 5 miles yesterday. Did you have a difficult time understanding any of the English grammar rules? Leave a comment and let us know. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with more helpful English tutorials.